Mitsuri is one of the more controversial characters in Demon Slayer, power-wise, obviously, because though Hakuten Hantengu has such a weird kit, people question not only his strength, but by extension, Mitsuri's as well. On top of this, a lot of people actually question Gyutaro's rank of Upper Moon 6 and believe he could actually surpass some of his peers, such as Upper Rank 5 Gyoko or Upper Rank 4 Hantengu. And because of these beliefs, there's actually a pretty big discourse about how Mitsuri would fare against Gyutaro, with some people thinking she's out of his class and others thinking that Gyutaro would be a bit too much for her to handle. Now, the first point a lot of people bring up when talking about Upper Moon 6 is his poison. This is a pretty big deal, as Gyutaro's poison is extremely lethal, and he implies after he poisons Tengen that most people don't survive very long, as he's confused how Tengen is still standing, and this is only about a chapter after poisoning him. The reason for this, we learn, is Tengen had developed poison resistance because he trained as a shinobi before becoming a demon slayer, so pretty much no one else in the verse is going to have this luxury. We do see later on in the series that slayers like Gyutaro are able to prolong the effects of poison using breathing, but we unfortunately don't know if that applies to all slayers, especially at such an early point in the series that we see Tengen battle Gyutaro, so granting Mitsuri some sort of poison resistance is a bit of a stretch if we take her from the Swordsmith village arc, which is the form of Mitsuri I'm specifically using for this video. So if Mitsuri gets poisoned, she's probably kicking the bucket. The issue that Gyutaro is going to potentially have is actually landing the poison on Mitsuri if Mitsuri is a lot faster than him. Just to give you an example, and I know this is pretty extreme, but Yoriichi, hypothetically speaking, might fall victim to someone like Gyutaro's poison. But obviously, we know Yoriichi is so many magnitudes faster than Gyutaro, it's unrealistic and outlandish to think he would ever even get hit by Gyutaro to get poisoned in the first place. Obviously, Mitsuri isn't Yoriichi, but the point I'm trying to make is a lot of characters have strong abilities in Demon Slayer, but if they can't hit their target, the attack can be rendered a non-factor. Sort of like what Muichiro tells Gyoko, who has an ability to hypothetically one-shot you by turning your face into a fish, but it doesn't really matter if it doesn't actually hit. The next question we have to ask is, does Mitsuri actually have the speed necessary to avoid the lethal poison of Gyutaro? So I decided to ask Twitter's advanced AI Grok. Nah, I can't even do it, bro. I think a good place to start is comparing her to Tengen. We get a narrator statement in chapter 123 that outright states that Mitsuri's technique speed is faster than Tengen's. I mean, this is just pretty cut and dry. She's just got faster attack speed than Tengen, with the reasoning for this speed being her flexible katana and her own flexibility and incredible range of motion. I've seen some people say this is just saying love breathing is just faster than sound breathing, and this doesn't necessarily mean Mitsuri is faster than Tengen, but it can't be talking about love breathing because love breathing doesn't require a special flexible katana, which the statement very importantly attributes to Mitsuri's speed. We know love breathing doesn't require this because Mitsuri created love breathing in the fight with Lower Moon 2 and Rengoku Stories of Flame, where she wielded a standard issue katana. This means that her special katana isn't needed for love breathing, and because the statement is including her katana, it's just talking about her attack speed. This gives us a good baseline that Mitsuri is just faster than Tengen in attack speed, but we really don't know by how much. So I think the next point of comparison would be to take a look at the feats between her and Tengen. As we know, a healthy Tengen while trying to off-guard Gyutaro is outsped by the Upper Moon with a baseline attack. Now, Tengen is noted to block some of this attack, but it shows that Gyutaro is superior to Tengen in speed, even if it's just a little bit, even when he's healthy and not poisoned. Now let's compare this to Zohakuten and Mitsuri. Mitsuri has no difficulty countering all of Zohakuten's attacks and taking no damage in this process, only ever even breaking a sweat when his blood demon art comes out, which he also just effortlessly combats. Zohakuten, being the strongest form of Hantengu, who is Upper Moon 4's true power, should just be outright faster than Gyutaro, but a lot of people actually think Gyutaro is faster and stronger than his rank of Upper Moon 6 because of a statement Muzan says, or rather a few statements that Muzan says in the Upper Moon meeting. Quote, "I suspected Gyutaro would lose as I thought Daki was a hindrance. If Gyutaro had fought by himself from the beginning, he would have won. He shouldn't have fought after poisoning them, but it doesn't matter now. Obviously, Daki isn't a hindrance to Gyutaro's combat ability, as she just makes him hard to kill and increases his offense. So how did Daki actually hinder Gyutaro? Well, the way she did was by making Gyutaro fight. Gyutaro only fought on Daki's behalf to avenge her, which is pretty clear by his dialogue, and Muzan explains himself. He says if Gyutaro had fought by himself from the beginning, he would have won. He shouldn't have fought after poisoning them. If Gyutaro was by himself, he could have just poisoned them and dipped. But because of his human connection with Daki, this held him back, which is more than likely why the next sentence Muzan says is, "You're falling in the order of who has the most human parts remaining," which to me just confirms that Gyutaro is being held back by his connection with Daki. So I really don't think any of this is grounds for saying Gyutaro is just stronger than his rank of upper 6. But if you're still skeptical, we can prove it by feats by looking at Tanjiro's performance against Gyutaro and his performance against Zohakuten. Tanjiro in his fight with Gyutaro alongside Tengen gets blitzed by Gyutaro being only able to mentally react to the oncoming attack. And it should be noted, Tanjiro is more than likely pretty fatigued at this point, as he nearly died from exhaustion against Daki. This, if my memory serves me correct, isn't in the anime, but the manga tells us that the reason why his eyes turned bloodshot, it's a direct response to humans reaching their limitations, the first being their physical limitation, and the second being their life force. And Tanjiro is stated by the narrator that he's about to reach that second limitation and just straight up die. So maybe if Tanjiro was in a better state, he could have slightly reacted to this Gyutaro strike, but we really aren't sure. What we do know for sure is if there's a little bit more distance between them, Tanjiro can slightly react to Gyutaro as he does on the rooftop later in the fight. Fast forwarding a bit to the Swordsmith Village arc, Tanjiro gets a training arc with the Type 0 doll, which should make him substantially stronger given how many statements there are about the nature of the training. I feel like I shouldn't have to bring this up, but I see constant comparisons between Tanjiro's performance in the Entertainment District arc in the Swordsmith Village arc, and a lot of people don't seem to understand he's a lot stronger even in base. There's many statements that imply this training improved Tanjiro's capabilities. Mitsuri says that the village has a secret weapon that makes you stronger. The reason Kotetsu even helps Tanjiro in his training as a mentor is for the purpose of him getting stronger than Muichiro, which is stated twice, and Kotetsu even says he wants Tanjiro to get stronger than anyone during this training, as well as Tanjiro himself thinking he can get stronger by this training. Like I said, I shouldn't even have to bring this up, but it seems like a lot of people skip over the fact that Tanjiro does get stronger in his base form, and it's not just the fact that he unlocks the mark in minor intervals, he's just stronger holistically. This stronger Tanjiro is blitzed in a similar manner to Gyutaro by one tree dragon head from Zohakuten. Tanjiro before this is only able to run away from Zohakuten with his travel speed, and the second he's forced to fight the tree dragon head, he gets blitzed by its extension ability. To be completely fair to Tanjiro, he does say that he no longer can counterattack because he seemingly is getting weakened. But in the panel before that, we see that he says that the power of the tree dragons is just getting stronger, which I think just makes this a moot point. Tanjiro only feels like he's getting overwhelmed once the tree dragons actually ramp up their attack. When the extension ability is actually used, he's only able to mentally react to the tree dragon head, being unable to launch an attack to defend himself. Keep in mind, he also has precognition at this point with his sense of smell, which means he has even more time to see this attack coming and prepare a counterattack, but all he can do is mentally perceive it, and then he gets eaten. This should be more than enough to put Zohakuten's attacks above Gyutaro, as this Tanjiro is a good bit stronger than his previous self, and he's getting blitzed from a distance when he has precognition. And on top of that, it's heavily implied that Zohakuten has even faster attacks that are more overwhelming, which I will get into in a second. Now, I guess the million-dollar question is, how does this all tie back to Mitsuri? Mitsuri pretty much styles on Zohakuten the second she comes in the fray, with the only time she's ever seen sweating is due to Zohakuten's Blood Demon art, in which Zohakuten uses in direct response because of Mitsuri's speed. This pretty heavily implies that his Blood Demon arts are just faster than his standard Tree Dragon attacks that can blitz a stronger Tanjiro. And Mitsuri still pretty effortlessly counters this ability completely to the point where Zohakuten has no Tree Dragons to even defend his main body, as Mitsuri just pulls up on him directly after this. Additionally, when Tanjiro sees Mitsuri pull off this feat, he's shocked by her speed, which is more than likely a self-power scale, but I think it's more than evident enough that Mitsuri speaks for herself here. The overall picture that I'm trying to paint is Mitsuri is just on a different level of speed when compared to the likes of characters like Gyutaro, as she's stated by the narrator to be superior to Tengen in technique speed, is massively superior to a stronger Tanjiro in speed, when a weaker, fatigued Tanjiro in the previous arc could just react to Gyutaro at a distance, and is faster than Zohakiten in speed, who's faster than Gyutaro. If you think the Hashira race makes Tengen faster than Mitsuri, this race is only indicative of travel speed, which doesn't account for reaction speed, attack speed, or combat speed. If you think this just makes Tengen faster than Mitsuri in all aspects, despite the narrator's statements and feats, then this is probably your first video you've seen of mine. So hi, welcome, glad you're here, and you're also wrong. Entitled to your opinion. Additionally, it's not like someone like Daki is going to make a difference in this fight against someone like Mitsuri. Mitsuri is more than able to combat multiple tree dragon heads at the same time using blood demon arts, and Daki is significantly weaker than one of these tree dragon heads. We know this because Tengen perception blitzes Daki, and Tengen is slower than Gyutaro while healthy, so Daki is a non-factor even if she supports Gyutaro because she's so incredibly slow in comparison to Mitsuri. This means Gyutaro's best chance to even hit Mitsuri is something like his flying blood scythes or just spamming large area of effect attacks. Now the blood scythes might seem like a good idea, as it's an ability that he can just shoot out like a projectile that can track you, but these probably have no chance of working since Tanjiro in the Entertainment District arc is fast enough to save Tengen from one of these, and even reacts to one of them while being off guard. So they're realistically so slow that they shouldn't be any issue for Mitsuri at any point. Gyutaro, even at his best, just generates worse AoE pressure, even with Daki as support, but even if he spams a bunch of his blood demon arts and Daki sends her sash out at the same time, Mitsuri can fight at a very far distance because her katana is so long, and she has a very large destructive capability to handle multiple attacks at the same time. One swaying love Wild Claw would be more than enough to clean up any large-scale assault Gyutaro launches. The only hiccup I see for Mitsuri in this battle is the fact that she needs to behead both of them at the same time, which I don't realistically see being an issue. She's so fast she would be able to behead both of them pretty quickly and might not even need to figure out their gimmick, and might just accidentally trigger the simultaneous beheading because she's so much stronger holistically than them. I don't see any scenario where Mitsuri gets poisoned because of her speed advantage, and her kit just making her a really good matchup to Gyutaro and Daki in general, and I'm just talking about Mitsuri in her base form. If we grant her the Demon Slayer mark, which gives a nice speed and power boost, the fight becomes a horrible mismatch where Gyutaro will be completely overwhelmed. But I think it's pretty clear that Mitsuri just in base is more than enough to put hands on Gyutaro and Daki. As a bonus round, I decided I wanted to throw in Kaigaku, the second iteration of Upper Moon 6 that fought Zenitsu in the Infinity Castle, but it really doesn't change much, as Kaigaku, even with his highest assertion, isn't Gyoko level, as Upper Rank 5 is vacant at the time he becomes Upper Rank 6, and we know Muzan's the only one that can make Upper Rank demons. Upper Rank demons can give their blood to others, but it's up to Muzan to decide whether or not he accepts them. This is derived from the Chapter 195 bonus statement that says when upper rank demons recruit people, they give them their own blood, but an upper rank demon's blood doesn't have the ability to make demons. It sends their intention of making a demon to Muzan, and if Muzan approves, it changes into blood capable of making a demon. So this obviously means Muzan did not think that he was worthy of the title of Upper Moon 5, which just means he's weaker than Gyoko. And as we talked about earlier, Mitsuri just has scaling even in base form to Zohakiten. So pretty much no matter how you slice it, base Mitsuri from the Swordsmith Village arc wins. Her marked form completely stomps, and in the castle she's just arbitrarily stronger than her base form that should already beat up Kaigaku. So basically no form of Mitsuri should have any difficulty just outright blitzing him. So no matter the form, whether it be her base in the Infinity Castle marked, unless you just take the one that just learned love breathing, Mitsuri in pretty much no iteration is ever losing to Upper Moon 6, and that goes for Gyutaro and Daki, and Kaigaku himself.